Shout out to Go Macro. I follow them on Instagram. These protein bars are life-changing. It's the perfect protein supplement for anyone who's plant-based. And even if you're not, they're delicious enough for them to satisfy your palate, even if you're used to a non-plant-based diet. When I tell you, Go Macro has taken protein bars to the next level, I lie to you not. These things are fantastic. This is the chocolate chip peanut butter. It's totally plant-based. It was a breath of fresh air because I hadn't had any chocolate for ages since I went plant-based. I hadn't had any chocolate for the longest. And I found a protein bar that actually had chocolate in it, but it was vegan. These are delightful. My favorite is the lemon one. They also have one that is a maple, I think it's called maple syrup. Oh, it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. It's an excellent meal replacement for breakfast. You can also have one for dessert. I love these things. Big shout out to Go Macro. Big shout out to Nazir Ra. Hidden Power University. I'm looking forward to rejoining and reactivating my membership. Big shout out to Nazir Ra. You know, it's just nice to have certain people on YouTube to listen to, because we all are in different environments, and some of us don't always get to have intellectual stimulation. You know, people who allow us to kind of expand our minds. So right now I'm channeling my inner Nazir Ra and telling people to step up to their power, and this conversation is about power. I think it was Lil Kim who said, cash rules everything around me, and money, power, respect. I took that line. I wrote a song recently. I said, cash rules everything around me. No, I rule everything around me. And the thing about it is, there's a lot of things that are fleeting. There's just a lot of things that are in question right now. We just don't know. I live in DC. I always tell you guys, this is a 16-mile radius. This is how small this town is. We got the mint factory right here, printing money. We don't know. We just don't know. In theory, each dollar is supposed to have a certain amount of gold backing, and that's what gives the dollar value. But we just don't know. Can any of us say that the currency that we use, the fiat, that we can be 100% sure of the gold backing? Do we know? Do we really know? So, I say this to say that across civilizations, there have been different ways for people to gain. You know, at one point it was bartering before fiat was even introduced. I might have gold. You may have another precious stone or precious metal or something that I find valuable or that I need, and we trade. Or I provide a certain service. I don't know, it could be that I'm a craftsman, or I'm a carpenter, or I'm a chef, or, a certain trade, a certain skill that I have. And you might just need that skill. I could be a masseuse, and you might need a massage, and I might need a meal. That was kind of the way that people got down before the introduction of fiat, which did require everybody to have a skill and hone in on that skill. in order to be useful to society and to humanity, you had to cultivate a skill. You had to have a skill. Money. I say, whenever I think of Boyce Watkins, I say Senator Boyce Watkins. I don't know why. I say Senator every single time. If I click on one of his videos or if he pops up in my mind, I say Senator Boyce Watkins, but he's really Dr. Boyce Watkins. He made a point some time ago, and his point was that, you know, there's this idea of, you know, kind of like an unspoken, like as if poverty is a badge of righteousness, you know, like to be poor is honorable. And I know that the Bible says so, and I know that there's things in the Quran that say that it's very difficult for rich people to get into paradise. But I think that also has to deal with a lot of the temptation that comes with being wealthy. That, you know, more brings more temptation and different things. So, you know, it may add to, you know, you having some obstacles to navigate in the world, you know, when you now can afford all of the trinkets and all of the things that you know that take you out of the kingdom. But it really depends on the person. And I think that overall, you are who you are. The money just kind of maximizes it. So if you had a weakness for women when you were poor and you had the desire to, you know, be with women all the time and things like that, you get money, now you can do all those things, right? If you had a drug addiction when you were poor, you get money, it elevates your drug addiction. But if you were of service to mankind, and if you were uplifting when you were poor, you get money, you can be of more service to mankind. If you were a healer when you were poor, you get money, you're going to be even a bigger healer, right? So I believe that that's really all it does. But one thing I will say, and I do believe what Dr. Boyce Watkins had to say about the idea of, you know, it's not, the poor righteous teacher thing is kind of something that is stigmatized, or it's a kind of a part of our community and things like that. And there's nothing necessarily righteous about being poor, because a lot of times poverty puts you in circumstances where you may have to do things that make you not righteous in order to put food on the table. Or, you know, you may have people say, well, I hustled because I needed the money to feed my family. Or you may have some women that say, you know, I sold my body because I needed the money to be able to pay my tuition, or strip to pay tuition, or whatever. So, you know, a lot of times it's poverty that makes you do these kind of things that, you know, take you out of the kingdom, so to speak. And money would obviously very much take away those things. And one thing that I will say that is great about being, you know, fiscally disadvantaged, is that you get to have more of a realistic perspective about things around you, people around you, and life. What do I mean by this? Well, when people don't feel like they have a monetary gain, when people don't feel that they have something to gain from you monetarily, how do they treat you? If you're just a waitress, you know, I don't believe anybody's just, but if you're just a waitress, you guys understand what I mean, or a bar back or whatever, you know, how does somebody treat you? I think that has a lot to say about that person, right? I've been in circumstances, you guys know I worked in the restaurant industry, and been in circumstances where I've had certain managers treat staff really poorly and talk to staff any kind of way. But then when the owner arrives and the owner shows up, they are like the most respectful people imaginable. So my takeaway is like, it wasn't that you didn't know how to communicate respectfully. You just didn't feel like you had to certain people. So that to me means you have a certain hierarchy in your mind of who's important and who's not important, and the way that you treat quote unquote important people and the way that you treat unimportant people. And So if I was putting a team together, it would be a good idea to like, I personally be poor first and see who's really real around you and see who's really trustworthy and see how people act when, they don't have anything to gain, and see all of those things. And then you know who to put in place, you know what I mean? And who not to. And it's not a bad idea, if everybody is poor before they get rich, because you gain some tremendous insight through the experience of poverty. But I say this to say, cash rules everything around me. No, I rule everything around me. Money and power, money and power. Well, money means maintenance of the money also. So if you obtain your money in a powerful way, right? You started a business and your business was rooted in the service of mankind or something like that, then yes, money is power. But if you are at the mercy of people who make you do very sinister things to maintain that money, then that's a very powerless position to be in. Right now, I believe that the world is under scrutiny, and specifically Americans are under scrutiny, and leadership is under scrutiny. We have a president in the White House who, I was talking to my aunt last night, and she she couldn't stand Trump. I've never met somebody in my life who couldn't stand Trump, more than my aunt. And I love my aunt. But I had to remind her, I had to let her know I don't feel like the person that we have in the White House currently is any better. If you look at the track record of abuse of power, this man currently has people on payroll to watch poor people. He's paying people to proctor poor people. And where's this money coming from? Where's all this money coming from? It's coming from you. It's coming from your tax dollars. So the same law enforcement that disrespects you, the same, people that you live in the hood and your road hasn't gotten paved for ages, and you're wondering why there's all these potholes on your road. This money isn't coming from Joe's pockets. This money is coming from you. You are funding government corruption, and you have selected a dictator who abuses his power and is willing to pay people to try to terrorize poor people with your tax dollars and no accountability. And in arrogance, as if he wasn't designated to protect and serve. Did you hear the way? I'm not trying to get too messy, but when I tell you guys, DC is a 16-mile radius. It's very small, okay? And I very much mind my business, but if somebody makes it my business, it's now my business, okay? Did you hear the way, as soon as this man got in the office, did you hear the way he spoke to the black leaders? Al Sharpton and them? So disrespectful. Because he didn't feel like he had to. He doesn't talk to when he goes overseas and has meetings with different ambassadors and all. He doesn't talk to them the way that he talks to you guys. Be very clear about that. And this is just an inkling of the way that this man abuses his power. This man literally has people on payroll. Rather than to proctor poor people, rather than taking, and not cheap, 6 figures, whatnot, rather than taking that money and putting it into social programs, he'd rather pay people to proctor and watch poor people. This is who we have in the White House. So this is a display of an extreme abuse of power. And the thing about it is, it's getting to a point where if you abuse your power, you lose your power. Many presidents before have been impeached. Many presidents. It would not be the first impeachment. It would not be the first. So anyways, How have we abused our power? What did you do with your power? I'm an artist. I listen to music. I was listening to Tracy Chapman, her self-titled album. I think it's one of the best projects to ever be created in the history of music. And I said, that's how you use your power. I listened to Tracy Chapman's album. I said, that's how you use your power. You fight for the voiceless. You speak for the voiceless. You fight for the poor. You fight for the underprivileged. That's how you use your power. I listen to something like that. I say, this is somebody who needs to be elevated. I'm listening to Joe's Minions. These people talk about everything under the sun but what's important. Someone's hair, their nails, their figure. These aren't Angelina Jolie's. Like, as an adult, you could use your mind for anything, right? We have these brains that God gave us. We could cultivate our minds, and we could use it literally for anything. We could use it to develop the next cure for a terminal illness. We could use our minds to begin to, think of educational, solutions for educational matters. I mean, we could use our minds for water filtration. We could use our minds for how to navigate this global pandemic. We could use our minds for anything that is of service to mankind. And you're using your mind to talk about somebody's outfit and how pretty they are and how their hair looks. I'm not minimizing beauty. I understand in the Matrix, beauty is power to some degree, but guys, put it in its proper place. Put it in its proper place. It's not that serious. It's not that big of a deal. Like, that's all you're about? And then you wonder why they don't take you seriously? Because you're so shallow. Put it in its proper place. My theory is if you don't have a soul, and if you're empty on the inside, you're not going to compete for things that are soul-oriented. You're going to compete for things that are surface, because that's all you have. I'm looking at Tracy Chapman's album covers, no makeup. She's chilling, nothing fancy on, natural hair. Because it's like, yo, I'm not doing all of this. I'm not doing all of that to distract you from the music, because I need you to tune in to the music. I need you to actually listen to what I have to say. And I could go on and on and on about, a lot of these musicians and how, in my opinion, a lot of it is just, I don't get it. The bodysuit trend is not going anywhere, apparently. It's been like decades. Like, it seems like a good 20 years where it's just like every single artist is just in a bodysuit. Like, that's the costume, a bodysuit and heels. Everybody got to put on a bodysuit. How is that different? How is you talking about sex? Sometimes it's in a creative way. Sometimes it's in a blatant way. Sometimes it's more overt or covert. But the content is the same. And sex is wonderful. It's amazing. But that's it? Just how you look in sex? And then you wonder why we're getting fire lit to our backside? You wonder why they're telling us what to do? Like, no, you're going to go ahead and inject a foreign substance into your body and don't ask too many questions. No, you're going to do what we tell you to do. And you're like, I'm kind of an adult. Like, I have my own mind. No, you don't. Not by what you're displaying. You look like a follower, a bird brain, and a child. We tell children what to do. What you've displayed is being you're a child. Because look at what you focus on. Look at what you prioritize. Look at how shallow you are. You're not using your mind for anything productive to humanity, and by no stretch of the imagination. And I'm giving you tough love because I believe that everybody is redeemable, truly. And I believe that we are all on our evolutionary journey, truly. I really do. Because I am not currently the woman, because you're like, you sound so judgmental. I'm currently not the woman that I was. Trust me, I was much different. So I understand. I do understand. But what I'm saying to you is what you're doing is nothing different. It's nothing new. And from their perspective, it's also something that's disposable. Because when we've got these very sinister individuals who are now orchestrating the Great Purge, and by no means am I advocating the Great Purge, because I don't think it's right. I don't think that it's fair for anybody to play God. You don't know what somebody is here to be. Our Creator blew life and breath into somebody and gave us a soul. So it's nobody's right to tell you, what to do with your life and how many years you have on this earth. I'm not advocating it, but I'm saying their perspective, and they have a perspective, is you are, meaningless eaters. Not creating solutions to the world's problems. You're talking about hair and nails and what somebody has on, and you worship money, and we know we control money. I'm talking about the top 1%. We can print as much money as we want. It's fiat. It's paper. It's monopoly money. And we just dangle a little bit of that in front of you, and you'll do anything for it. And that's the way that you use to bully each other like idiots. Well, I have more monopoly money than you do. Well, she doesn't have any monopoly money. Look at her hair. Look at her nails. Like children. Like elementary school children. Forget that we're amidst a global crisis. Forget that you could be using your mind to mentor a child who's traumatized beyond belief because he's had to spend the past 2 years away from school with a mask on. And you would rather be talking about what somebody has on than to take your time to go mentor a child. You would rather be talking about how somebody looks than to take your time and go do charity in one of these third world nations where these kids' ribs are touching because they have nothing to eat. And this is what you did with your power, and you expect to maintain your power. And this is the culture that you help create and maintain and uphold like it's dignified and decent. And you are the kings and the queens of this earth with the power to be able to make any culture, to create any culture that you want, to create a thriving culture, to create a culture where people feel uplifted, valued, to set different standards where intellectualism and heartfelt things are prioritized rather than someone's hair and their nails and what car they drive. And you expect to maintain your power in the midst of a global pandemic when the world is in crisis, and this is what you focus on? And then you want to call me arrogant when I say, why would I give 2 fucks about people who uphold this stupidity, this bird brain nonsense, this ignorance at the highest level. And now there's not even shame associated with you are proud and dumb. Talking about an oath of silence, some of you need to talk and some of you do need to not talk. Because you don't sound, I wouldn't talk if I were you. They say you open your mouth and your brain is on display. I understand why you say I talk too much. I wouldn't talk if I were you. The way you sound and the things that come out of your mouth, I understand. I get it. So I will say that that's probably smart for you not to talk. But some of you do need to talk. Some of you have some things to say. So use your power wisely, or use your power, or lose your power, pretty much. And we are at the brink of a new day, a new reality, and new positions. New people are being selected. We find out that the old didn't work. The old led to drug addicts. The old led to a big minstrel show. I mean, just a minstrel show. The old didn't work. And everybody who got their opportunity, they got their shot to lead, all you did was fall back into a narrative selected for you. So this is how you use your power. So that's how you lose your power. Anyways, y'all, rise up to your power. Shout out to Hidden Power University and Isaiah Rock. Peace.